Yo, yes, yes. It's your boy T.Till, Conversation of the Heart, episode 3. Man, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a loaded one. Just want you to tap in and join with us. There he is, my man right there.
My brother,
Hey, my brother, good to
can you
see
hear me?
you. Yeah, I can hear you
Yeah.
loud and clear. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, all right.
Uh, First of all, man, I just want to say, man, thank you for doing this, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for doing the show. Um, so for my audience, it's my man Christopher, man, Christopher Adamson, man, and he's a good brother, co-host of the Rap Lab podcast. Um, and also he works in mental health. As a day habilitation specialist. And we want to get into some conversation, man. Surrounding mental health, men in mental health, and also just mental health in general. This the stigmas and things like that. But first of all, I just want to get started with people. You telling the people about the incredible platform that you have as far as the Rap Lab podcast, brother, because you're doing some amazing things.
Thank you so much for that introduction, man. It's an honor. I appreciate it. The Rap Lab podcast was created by just a group of best friends that have love and appreciation for the hip hop culture. It's kind of
Hmm.
like regular conversations that we regularly have at a lunch table or in school or at work or anything, straight by the water cooler. So
Hmm.
basically, um, one of my brothers, the Candyman Alfred, he's the one who came up with the idea. He said, "Hey, I mean, we talk about hip hop on a regular anyway, so let's just, you know, um, have a podcast, have a platform." And then our brother T.O., he joined us in,
Hmm.
and we started off with that, and then we brought in brother Eric, aka the Rev Barber MC, who I go back
Hmm.
with for
Hmm.
like 20 years, and he just fit
Hmm.
right in, and all of us together collectively, we just provided this platform just to talk about the hip hop culture, what's going on, debates, topics, fantasy matchups, all that good stuff.
Dope, dope, man. Shout out to Alfred, Eric, as well, man. So let's talk about your day job. As a day habilitation specialist, what is your day like, and what is it exactly that you do?
As a day habilitation specialist, my job necessarily is to provide services and help people with special needs, mostly mental disabilities, such as cases who are autistic or have Down syndrome, just have everyday challenges that may come simple to you and I. And
Hmm.
I've been in this field for about 17 years, and I currently work for CUSAC, and I've been through all these different agencies. And what we do on a daily, it depends where you are, because we have adult day hab centers, we have schools, we have 24/7 houses, we have apartments,
Hmm.
So what I do, I work in the classroom settings with the adults, and we go over goals, stuff that may be challenging
Hmm.
to them. It could be simple as transportation, taking the train, taking the bus, or learning how to count money, or to fold clothes, or hygiene, or anything in that
Hmm.
particular. Math, English, science, all of the above. It all depends on what individual that we're working with at that time and their goals that need to be met. So, you know, I'm really kind of hands-on working with everybody, and I'm not alone. I work with a team. There's a whole lot of us that work in these settings, and I'm glad you asked me that, because we are labeled and deemed as essential workers. We've been
Hmm.
out there on the front lines just like everybody else, and I want to give a special shout out to everybody out there, all the direct care staff that have been working in the houses, working in the apartments, working in the school settings. The media, nobody talks about that, and
Hmm.
I think it's a shame that it gets underscored because, we're out there just like everybody else, just like the nurses,
Mm,
shout out to them, the doctors, the therapists, everybody
mm-hmm,
that's been out there from the beginning. We've been out there as well. And you don't get in this field to make money. You want to make a change. You want to make a difference in people's lives. And,
mm,
I feel, all of us should get our respect too.
mm. And now I just don't want it to get it twisted. You guys are absolutely essential, man, and definitely the work that you guys do, does not go unnoticed by me especially, bro. Um, so
Thank you.
let's get into this whole men in mental health. I had the opportunity to talk to you to be on your podcast last week, so I really do appreciate it. And it
Yes,
was a
sir.
loaded conversation. It was an amazing conversation, and it's something that I definitely believe that everybody should definitely hear. So, if you can, guys, just go check out the Rap Lab podcast, man, and check out their all of their shows, man. And definitely click on the one with mental health too, man, because I think it's super important,
Absolutely.
man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Um,
sir.
so as far as men, in mental health, like, what do you think are some of the stigmas behind that?
I think with men and mental health, there is there's a stigma that men aren't supposed to be emotional, that men aren't supposed to show feelings. You're supposed to be this
Mm,
tough, masculine, you know, you're not supposed to be expressive into how you're really feeling because you're a man, you're tough, but I think that's just
mm-hmm,
bogus because, we're all human beings at the end of the day. And I don't look at it as being emotional. I look at it as being passionate. When you believe in something
mm,
and something's bothering you, you have every right to express yourself. And everybody expresses themselves different, but it takes a level of understanding. And I have feelings too, and
mm,
we all have feelings, and it just takes the right support system to be there for you in that time. And as a man, I have no problem expressing myself at all. If
mm-hmm,
I'm going through something and there's people around me that I trust that I can depend on, I'm going to vent because I trust them and they're going to be there to comfort me in the end. So I think the stigma is just, you know, oh, you're a man. You're not supposed to have these feelings. You're not supposed to be emotional. You're not supposed to cry. You're not
mm-hmm,
supposed to be sad. But I think that's just totally bogus. We all feel pain and we all express hurt.
mm-hmm. And I think some of those things are passed down from generation to generation, right? And you're taught that you're not supposed to have these type of emotions, and you're taught that in order to be a man, it means to not show emotion, man. But the thing about it is, what people don't tell you is that vulnerability is power. Vulnerability is the key to healing too. It's the key to forgiveness. It's the key to all those different things. And we have to be able to allow ourselves, the grace to feel things. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
um, you're not tougher because you don't feel, right?
Exactly.
Because you do, like, no matter what, it doesn't matter who you are, you feel,
Right.
right? But the difference is there a safe space for me to express it?
Right.
Or do
Right.
I keep it inside? And when you keep
Right.
it inside, it causes a lot of now physical ailments too, medical problems and things like that. I think, there's certain things with stress that leads to stomach problems. And stomach problems, if you have gut health, if you have a problem with your gut health, that could lead to an astronomical amount of problems. And people don't really even tend to understand those things, like stress and heart attacks and brain aneurysms and things like that. Those things are all attributed to a lot of times the trauma that we keep inside. So it's so essential that we give everybody, a safe space to kind of just say, hey, you know what? I don't care what gender you are. You know what I'm saying? You should express. If you feel the need to cry, cry. If you feel the
Right.
need to journal, journal. If whatever, however way you feel that you need to get things out, um, that's something that you should absolutely
Yes,
um
sir.
take care of, bro. And having more conversations like these, that
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's open, that's open and honest to let people know, like, hey, like, you're not the only one going through things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
I've went through a lot of different things. You've went through a lot of different things. We both coped probably in ways that aren't so great. I know that when I was younger, they were like, the way that I used to cope was at the end of a bottle. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I've learned to that's definitely not so healthy, right?
No,
You
it's
know,
not.
that's something that is not the way that things should be done. You
Yeah.
know, there is therapy, there is counseling. That's something that people are like, oh no, I don't know, but no, therapy and counseling is good. I started to journal a few years back. That stuff, man, really helps me. You know,
That's right.
and it doesn't make me less of a man because I journal. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Um, you know, I don't rap, you know what I'm saying? So people say, you know, man, like, you know, if you rap, then that's okay because you can write things out. But people rap all the time and get things off their chest and they just put it in bars, right? Like,
That's right.
but I
You
don't put them in
express
bars, bro.
yourself. You express yourself through your
I
talent.
just
Yeah.
go,
You just write. You just
yeah,
write it down.
and what, yeah, you know. So,
Right.
but what are some of the ways that you cope, bro?
One of the ways that I cope is through exercise. I realize that the training and, it could be simple as just jogging, the cardio. You
Hmm.
put that music on, you're out there and you're grooving at your own pace and you're in tune with that music. So when you're running, you're just going. And everything, all the problems that you had is behind you. Everything is behind you. You just keep
Hmm.
pushing forward. Another thing that I did a lot too when I was going through my state of depression was reading. I read a lot, and it could be
Yes.
anything. It could be stuff that I don't even normally read. Funny enough, when I was going through what I was going through 3 years ago, I decided to pick up a book on astrophysics just
Hmm.
randomly. I said, you
Hmm.
know what? What I'm going through right now, it hurts, it's bad, but this is an opportunity for me to learn. And I can learn
Hmm.
new things and excel in a different craft. So I just started picking up different books on history, on cooking. I started looking at a lot of cooking shows. They say cooking is therapy. So, while you're in there, you're in that kitchen, you got that nice glass of wine or whatever you got with you, you got your music playing in the
Oh,
background, you got your food, you got everything prepared, you're in the groove,
I
you're in
learned something new
you're in the
about you
mode.
today.
There you
Oh,
go.
I
See?
learned something new about you today. Oh,
In the
okay, all
kitchen,
right.
man. Yes, sir.
Chefing, all right.
Chefing up in the kitchen. So, it's the reading, it's the exercise, it's the cooking, and it's also meditating.
Hmm.
Meditating helped a lot. And
Mm.
this is when you become in tune with yourself because you go to someplace quiet, you sit down, you close your eyes, and you just think. Don't say anything. You just sit there and you just think and you just think about everything and you
Hmm.
internalize it for yourself. There's nobody in your ear, there's nobody around you to distract you. You become one with yourself. And
Mm.
they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, through your experience, if something comes up and it reminds you of that, you know never to go down that road again because you've been there already.
Mm. Man, the funny thing is, I used to do yoga and meditation at a point too because I really needed it. Um, but sometimes those two go hand in hand, and even so, sometimes people tell me, "T, man, you got to meditate, you got to meditate." And I'm like, man, like sometimes if I don't do it with yoga or something like that, I miss it. But that's
Right.
something too that I definitely, um, I do need to get back into, as well. You know, some people don't know, that there are layers to depression, right? You know, there are
Oh,
some,
yeah.
like there are a lot of people that are just functioning, right? Like they're high functioning and they can go about their day like it's absolutely normal until they can't, right?
Right.
But then there are some people who can't even get out of bed. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
there are some people that can't even just make it out of bed. There's some people who stay in bed for days. There's some people who don't like sunlight. There are people who like it just and when you speak to different people, you realize that it's different for everybody. You know,
Absolutely.
but it's a real thing. And people grieve different things every day. People think that grief is just reserved for death or just reserved for, just when a loved one dies or, something like that, man. But people grieve different things every day. People
That's
grieve
right.
what they see on the TV when an unknown person gets killed. People grieve, just what they see or what happens to, people losing their jobs in COVID. They grieve in that.
Right.
People, like their livelihoods are being turned upside down every single day by just different things in life. And they grieve those things daily, but we're always taught to keep it moving. You,
Right.
you know, especially in, we from New York, so you know what it is. It's like, yo, just keep going, can't stop, won't stop, and just
That's right.
you just got to keep that energy. So when you grieve daily, that takes an effect and that takes a toll, whether you really realize it or not. That takes a toll on you,
Oh, it
and
does. Yep.
and people handle grief differently, you know. And some people dismiss other people's grief, like, oh, well, you can't really grieve about that, or you shouldn't grieve about this, or you don't have it as bad as everybody else, and so those things kind of create a lot of, I think, depression in a lot of people, and they walk
It
around
did.
every single day. So in your experience, in your everyday walk and stuff like that, what are you seeing when it comes to just like the levels of depression?
From personal experience, I was still able to get up and go to work, but I didn't want to be there.
Mm,
Instead of being excited of coming to work and looking forward to the day, I was really
hmm
down on myself. I would just walk through the doors. I wouldn't say anything to anybody, and I would just get straight to it, whether it be paperwork or anything. There's no enthusiasm
hmm
in what I usually do, because when I come in
mm,
there, I want everything to be prepared. I want everything to be ready. Everybody's going to come in. We're going to have a good time. We're going to get through the day together. But when you're going through depression, you kind of just stay to yourself. You're there, but you're not there. You go in there and you just, whatever. Let's just get this day over with. Let's just do what we got to do. And at a time, I would just go to work. Then I would just come home. I wouldn't shower. I would just drink. I would just cry and cry and cry, and I would have all these chest pains, and I would just fall. Wake up. Okay, here we go, back at it again. And so I noticed that when when people are going through something, they just stay to themselves. They don't really, they're not there, especially when you know how a person works. I'm the type of person that when I
hmm
come into work, I like to get things going. I like to get everybody involved. I like to engage with everybody. And at that
Yeah.
time, when I was going through what I was going through, I didn't do that, and people started to take notice. And instead of asking me what's wrong, that's when the chatting started. That's when people started making assumptions and started doing the gossip and started doing the rumors, and it
Mm,
started to hurt me even more. It made me more angry and more depressed. And I was like, man,
mm,
like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And it gets to a point where we talked about holding it in and trying to function and get through the work. I'm starting to cry at work. I'm starting to break down. I'm starting to hide in the corner. I'm hiding in the bathroom. I'm doing this and doing that. I'm trying to just function enough. Looking at the clock, man. I can't wait to get out here. That way I could go home and cry again to myself. So it really gets to that point where you're like,
hmm
you know what? Why am I even here? So I see that when
mm,
I see that in other people, I say to myself, I've been there. I know what that's like.
mm.
So I see the signs because I've experienced it.
Man, um, just what you said was so powerful because it brings me to a point of like, if you never went through it, then you really can't notice it in somebody else, and you can't lend that hand to
Exactly.
to somebody else. You know, I'm a firm believer in, just when you go through things, sometimes you going through it, not necessarily to go through it for yourself, but you're going through it at some point so you can help somebody else push through at some point in life.
Exactly. That's right.
Um, and I know that's an interesting way to think about things sometimes because it doesn't make it easier while you're going through it, right? But
Right.
then a couple years later, when you come across somebody who needs a word that you have to give them, and you're like, yo, damn, like, wow, like, yo, if I didn't go through what I went through, I could never have been that blessing for somebody else.
And that's it.
But you don't see it because
No. Yeah,
because
you don't.
all you're thinking about now is just the things that you've been going through and the things that you've been experiencing, right?
That's
So
right.
man, so when you said it, I was like, man, that's real because now you know what to do, and
Exactly.
if at nothing else, if nothing else, you have the compassion and empathy for the person,
That's
and
right.
you know what not to say. So even
That's
if you
right.
don't have the words, you at least know what not to say to them.
And
Um,
that's important. That's important to know what not to say because there are such thing as triggers. So
whew,
when you've been there
talk to them.
before, yeah, you say the wrong thing, you come across the wrong way, too aggressive. This is at a time where somebody's hurting. This is when they want to be comforted. And due to the
Mm,
fact that you've been there before, you know exactly how to approach this person and be like, "Look, I've been where you've been. It happened to me. I
mm-hmm,
people, people that I grew up with, and I would, tell them about it, and they were like, "Yo, I went through the same exact thing," and I would always
mm-hmm,
ask the same question: "How did you do it? How did you get out of that? What did you do?"
mm-hmm,
And that's when the sound advice comes in, step by step. And now do
mm-hmm,
you have that connection with that person because you both went through the same thing. And this is the time and the opportunity for you to check on them. Hey, how you doing today? How you feeling today? What we
mm-hmm,
doing? What's going on? Are we
mm-hmm,
are we taking the necessary steps? We gonna have a good one? Be like, yeah. So day by day,
mm-hmm,
little by little, those layers, it just starts to just peel back. And then you get through to the
mm-hmm.
surface. And then that's important.
So I was thinking about, because one of my friends, I thought about just this thing of asking our friends different questions. Um, we always ask our friends, "Yo, how you doing?" "Yeah, I'm good." "All right, cool,
Right.
man, peace." Right? And it's just like very just that,
Generic, it's
right?
regular, yeah.
Yeah. Like one of my friends sent me a text one day and it blew my mind because it took me, I didn't know how to answer it because I had to actually think about it. And she said, "Yo, hey, what's up, King? How you doing? I just want to check on you to see how your soul is doing today. So how is your soul doing?" And
Mm,
I was like, damn. I I
that's
like
different.
I I couldn't just say okay. I was like,
Right.
uh,
You had to think
damn, man.
about
Well,
that for a
damn. Well,
minute.
yeah. I was like, well, how am I? Like, well, damn. Well, how am I feeling? And I felt like I owed her a real answer. Cause
Right.
that how you doing question, it's not a real answer. It's like I could be doing like feeling like trash, and I'd be like, I'm doing all right, cool. And
Yeah.
then that's kind of just the end of the conversation. But when somebody asks you a different question like that, it makes you stop and think and say, number one, she's they damn sure interested in how I'm feeling because of the question. And
Right.
I got to think about it. I got to think about it and then say, man, all right, you know what? How am I doing today? Like, how am I truly feeling today? Because this person actually cares. Because, people think that this person really doesn't care how I think. They just want to hear, okay, and then that's it. So I
Right.
had to think about it to gather my words. And I wasn't okay that day. Truthfully speaking, I wasn't okay.
Mm,
There were things that were going on with me. And I always have this weird, and I know why she asked me the question, because I have this Superman complex that I have to be that one for everyone, and nobody has to be it for me. And
I know what you mean.
so when I thought about it, I was and I said to myself, that's why she asked the question, because she knows me, and she knows that I'm always going to be like, yo, I'm straight, I'm good. What do you need? 'Cause I got
Right.
you.
Right.
But
Right.
but she said, nah, sir, you about to take this question and think about it, marinate on it, and then get back to me. And I did that, and it opened up a whole new dialogue between me and my friend. And it gave me that when I go back to what I was saying earlier, that safe space
Hmm.
to express, that safe space, because nobody wants to feel like you're always unloading on them and you're being a burden on them and
Of
things
course.
like that. Nobody
Right.
wants to feel like that.
Right.
But when you ask different types of questions, it opens the doors, right? It opens the door for that safe space. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, man, I appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
It challenges you
and
to think.
so yeah, so now when I have different conversations, I try to ask you different questions now. Now I try to ask, hey man, um, so I just stop and I'm like, all right, so what can I ask this person that's actually it's not going to them allow them to give me a generic answer.
Right.
Like, okay, and move forward depending on your friendship level with the person. So I try to ask more informed questions myself.
That's good.
So like, what do you think about that? Like, how do you create safe spaces for your friends?
What I do is I try to spark up a conversation regular, just something that we
Hmm.
mutually like. Like, let's
Hmm.
say I'm talking to one of my friends, and I love pro wrestling, big pro
Yeah,
wrestling
yeah,
fan.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, till this day.
I know.
And
Hmm.
let's say one of my close personal friends are also a big wrestling fan, and I know that they've
Hmm.
been going through something. So
Hmm.
I'll spark up the conversation. Hey, did you see this wrestling match? Did you see this program tonight? Or if there's an event, hey man, the show going on, man. How about you and I go check it out? You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
instantly, we in there, we enjoying ourselves, we having a good time and everything. And then I was like, you enjoying yourself, you having a good time? Yeah, and then while we're regularly talking, then the conversation comes up because it'll be like, man,
Hmm.
I'm so happy to be here, man. I haven't, felt good in a long, long time. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I've been stressed out. They say, yeah, why? What's been happening? So that's just when the snowball just goes down. It continues to grow and grow and grow. Now we're into the root of the situation. I've taken you out
Hmm.
of that stressful environment. I provided you with something that you like, and you're comfortable, you're relaxed, and you're opened up. And while we're at where we're at, I know what you're going through. I'm going to provide you with something. And you and I, we have this factor where anytime you're feeling that way, anytime you're feeling that pain, you know that you can always come to me. And I could always go to you at the same time because now we're all the way open. This is the opportunity to
Hmm.
share experiences. This is
Hmm.
a chance for us to really get to know each other in the root and be like, okay, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going through.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Hmm.
that's where the conversation goes together. But I think the environment is a big, big, big factor because now we're at a place where we're both happy. We're both excited. We're both having a good time. We're having fun. We're looking at something that we like. So
Hmm.
bringing something that somebody likes is a great thing. And I just used wrestling as an example, but it could be anything from a mutual
Hmm.
aspect because you know that
Right.
person and you know what makes them happy.
Right. So best you made possible says she has a superwoman complex. I feel you. Unique Rose Gold Queen 35 says who encourages the encourager? That's a fact. And she said no close-ended questions. Exactly. Um,
Right.
so I think the World Health Organization um view mental health as their definition is pretty much it says the ability to handle the stresses of normal everyday life and to be able to function and to do like your work functions properly and things like that, right? When I thought about that definition, I said, man, truthfully, like, what does that mean for us?
What
Um,
does it mean for us? Yeah.
because
Good question.
yeah, because a lot of us, and I do mean people of color, we kind of born into the red. We're kind of born into negative situations. We're actually birthed into trauma,
Right.
right? So and everyday stresses of life for us, right? Like for me and you, right? Let's just say we're worried about being pulled over by the police. Is that a normal everyday stress for the average person? No,
No
that's
way.
an everyday stressor for us,
That's right.
right? Um, so a lot of times, like we have to do a lot of work on unpacking our issues. I think starting from an earlier age, you know, teaching our kids about therapy at an early age, giving them the permission to express themselves at a much earlier age, especially the boys too,
That's
um,
right.
and the girls as well. Just trying to really get them to a place that they start unpacking their things early. Because when I was working in the nonprofit sector, man, there were I used to work with some young adults and they at the age of like 16 they already have like 10 years worth of built up trauma that they never ever unpacked,
Wow.
never.
Wow.
And it was very detrimental to their outlook on life and the way that they viewed life. and you could tell how heavy it was on them,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, my goodness, they're 16 now. You know, knowing you from when we were 16. I mean, we had we had some stressors, right? But we
Of
was in
course.
school. We was
Yeah.
I can't say we had it really really bad, right?
Right.
But when you
Right.
actually get out there and you're on the front lines and you're doing work with these people, um, with these young adults, and you see what they're going through, and you see the grief, and you see the hurt, and you see that none of these things were unpacked. Nobody told them that therapy was okay. Nobody taught them, that expressing their emotions was a healthy thing.
That's right.
And when you're trying to bring things out of them, it's it's really, really difficult,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Um, and so it's just like, man, like we've got to do a better job of kind of just getting our young people early. Like if you don't have a father to tell you or a mother to tell you, I'm going to tell you that mental health is serious. Like, and I love, physical fitness is amazing. I know lots of trainers and boxers, and it's essential to your health.
Yeah.
But also, it's like there's always this stigma on mental health. Like everybody says, go out there and get a gym coach. I mean, a physical fitness coach. You know what I'm saying? Go out there
Hmm.
and get that personal trainer so you can look good in 30 days and stuff
Right.
like that, right?
Right.
In which
Right. Right.
there is a
Yeah.
place for that, and you should do that.
Hmm.
They'll tell you to find the best physician. Just go out there and find the best doctor. For your physical health. But when it comes to your mental health,
Mm.
it's like,
That's different.
it's like and it's just like, why? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It's something that there is a stigma, right? Nobody wants to admit, hey, I need to go speak to a therapist.
Right.
Well, hell, I don't want to admit that I have to go see a fitness coach because I gained 30 pounds during the quarantine, but guess what? I got to do it.
That's
And I'm
right.
encouraged to do it. And I'm
Yeah.
encouraged to do that because it's like, man, you gained some weight. You got to lose it. And it's just like, okay, I get it. But what about the other issues during quarantine
Mm.
that maybe
Exactly.
that maybe I'm going through that maybe is a little bit more important than my physical fitness at the time, right? That maybe is a tad bit more important than the little belly that I got, right? Because maybe if I address those issues, then maybe I could find it in my way to get out of bed to go get a physical trainer, right?
Right.
So it's like
Exactly.
everything works hand in hand, but we got
Hmm.
to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we got to be really honest with our young people, especially, bro. Um,
Oh yeah.
I just kind of felt the need to say that, bro.
I agree with you,
So
especially now with
yeah.
everything going on with education
Hmm.
and the Zoom learning and everything like that. It's kind of interesting because I've spoken to a lot of parents that that worry about their kids, and especially having kids go to these schools, and with the COVID
Hmm.
numbers being up and everything like that, and just the being in the house and with the Zoom and trying to learn and trying to
Hmm.
understand the curriculum. It's tough, and it's a lot
Hmm.
of stress and a lot of pressure, not only on the kids, especially the kids, because they're so young and going through situations like this. It's totally different. Like the COVID era is what we can call it, and knock on wood, God willing, when it's all said and done,
Hmm.
and we get to some part of normality,
Hmm.
the next generation can look back and read about it and be like, the COVID era, what is this? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That's something totally different. Nobody was prepared for this. Nobody. And
No, of
the
course not.
need the need to adapt and the need to adjust to the norm of wearing a mask in the classroom, getting your temperature taken everywhere you go, and just
Everywhere.
watching out for the signs and precautions. It's a lot of stressors. It takes its toll on the teachers as well, because the teachers are trying to
Hmm.
teach. The students are not in front of them. It's totally, totally hard. It's very, very difficult. So we're all in this
Hmm.
together, and it's all a learning process for everybody. And like you said, it ties into everything we do. All the teachers, all the students, all the parents, the
Mm.
friends, everything. It all comes together under one umbrella, and it's a challenge. It really is.
It definitely is. Best You Made Possible says that is a bogus definition by the World Health Organization because it does not take into consideration that their normal is a relative term depending on race and socioeconomic status, and that's absolutely true.
Correct.
So I got a question. It says from Unique Rose Gold King 35 says, as men, what do you feel are some ways that a woman you're dating or in a relationship with can get you to open up or discuss what you're feeling? You want to go, or you want to go first, or?
She wanted to know how do you get a man to open up if they're in a relationship?
Yeah, or to just discuss what you're going through or how you're feeling.
The best way for me to answer that is understanding. Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't judge somebody from what they go through. Don't try to put
Mm-hmm.
yourself in their shoes because you're the one that's wearing them. You know, when
Mm-hmm.
you tell somebody, you know, oh, well, suck it up, or oh, you
Mm-hmm.
should move on, or just let it go, or just forget about it. No, that's not it. And a lot of times, you know, for a man, hearing that, it hurts because it's like, well, damn, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hurting here, I'm in pain, and you're just telling me just to forget about it after everything that I went through. You have no idea what I went through. And
Mm-hmm.
that causes a lot of problems. So
Mm-hmm.
for this, you know, in a nutshell, is take away the gown, take away the gavel, take away the bailiff, take away the jury, the courtroom, all that. Don't judge a person. Just listen to them with open ears, and then they'll trust
Mm-hmm.
you. And then you know that will help a guy to to open up. You like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's comforting. There's no more reassurance for a man than to have that comfort, especially from a
Mm-hmm.
female that they're with and that they're in a relationship and in a bond with. They're there to comfort this person to get through it, no matter how long it takes. And when a
Mm-hmm.
man understands that and sees that a woman is willing to do that, no problem.
So I'll say, I think really having a keen understanding of your man and who you're in a relationship with, and to understand that what you think he should be doing really doesn't really matter. So sometimes I have, friends that say, oh, he's not communicating with me, and I'm his woman and he needs to be communicating with me.
There
And I
you
say,
go.
listen, sometimes just because you have a pretty face doesn't mean he knows how to communicate. Just because you're nice to him doesn't mean he knows how to communicate. He might have spent 35, 36 years not communicating. And just because you have a pretty smile doesn't mean that he's going to open up with just certain things. He may
Hmm.
not know how to express love. He may not know how to express sorrow. Um, and he may not know how to express love, and maybe because he's never felt it before, and maybe he was never told that he could express it before.
That's
So
right.
kind of maybe just losing what you think he should be doing, or how he should react to you, um, and maybe just understanding just maybe what he has gone through, show interest in his past, um, to finding out why he is the way he is and not the way that you think that he should be.
That's right.
Um, because once you tear down that part of him and say, oh, and you kind of maybe dismiss him, a man will shut down and he will no longer trust you.
That's right.
And I won't lie, it won't take much. As
It
soon as
will
he
not.
tries to even open up a little bit, and there's like a kind of a shutdown mode or a criticism of certain things because maybe he doesn't know how, that he's gonna go back into a shell more than likely and say, you know what, I'm good.
Right.
Um, because this isn't another added stress that I need
Right.
all my life.
Right.
So I think just just knowing that, and really just kind of just, it's a process too. You
It
know,
is.
men
Takes time.
express, men do express differently. Um, I like to see, I'm a very expressive person, so I like to express myself, express my feelings. Um, and if I trust you, especially, I gotta trust you. If I don't have a safe space, I I do not trust you, and I will not open up to you. And that's me
Right.
being an expressive male. right?
I
So
agree.
if I'm not an expressive male, there are probably so many different other layers that you have to kind of get through to unpeel those layers little by little. And it's not going to happen overnight, you know. So I say
No,
it's just patience,
patience
patience
and
and
time. You got
understanding.
it. That's right.
Um,
Understanding.
and and don't try to push your values on him 24/7. Let him open up to you once he feels that it's safe. Um,
Right.
you know, because that could be being in a safe space, as weird as this sounds, can be so unfamiliar that you don't want to be there.
Right. It makes all the sense in the world. It really
Like it's
does.
just like,
Because,
oh,
yep.
like this is it's like, oh, like this don't feel normal. No,
Right.
and maybe my normal is trauma. Maybe my normal is not being in a safe space. I can live in a place where, hey, you know what? I don't have to open up. I don't have to communicate. I don't have to express. I'm 36 and I'm okay with that.
Right.
And that's all I care about. And I'm fine with that. But now
That's
for
right.
you to give me a safe space may be awkward for me.
It's different.
And I don't know how to take that. I gotta
Right.
digest
That,
that in little bites. You know, babies can't take big bites of food and then swallow because they're gonna choke. They gotta
that's
take
a
little
fact.
bites and little
That's right.
bites, and it takes them longer to eat.
Hmm.
But for a lot of men, you know, they have built up trauma that sometimes they're emotional babies, and not in a negative sense,
Right.
but just in a way of they need things to be taken bit by bit. You know, hey, a little bit here, a little bit
That's
here.
right.
I'm
That's
feeling a
right.
little full today. I know I didn't
Right.
finish my meal, but maybe that we could try again tomorrow.
There you go.
You know,
Baby steps,
so
like they say.
yeah, baby steps, man. But that's kind of my soliloquy with that. So talk to me a little bit about how music has helped you, um, you know, with like with your journey with mental health and expression and things like that. How has that impacted your life?
The music has impacted my life greatly, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be hip hop, even though we do, a hip hop podcast. It could
Hmm.
be any sort of music, any genre. I could tell you
Hmm.
from personal experience, one song in particular that really got me out of the funk was the song "Against All Odds" by Phil Collins. And what
Hmm.
really does it for me in any form of music is the lyrics. I pay close attention to what an artist says. And when they
Hmm.
say something, when they say a line or two or a verse or two that kind of
Hmm.
explains what I'm going through, it
Hmm.
motivates me and it empowers me and it gives me the voice that at that time that I don't have. Like you said it before, when you shut down and you don't really want to say anything to anybody, you don't
Hmm.
want to talk about it. When you put on that song, when you put on those headphones, when you stream it, when you just have it in your radio and you hear the lyrics that mention what you're going through, you start to feel like, wow, somebody gets it. And this is somebody
Hmm.
I don't even know. So it just hits me like, especially with that song in particular, where he was like, take a look at me now. I'm just an empty space. That's
Hmm.
the way I feel. I feel like an empty space.
Hmm.
And to get back to you is against the odds, and that's what I'm going to face. So that means no matter what's in front of me, I'm against all odds. All odds are against me. I'm
Hmm.
still going forward. I'm still pushing forward. I'm still fighting through it, no
Hmm.
matter what it takes. And hearing that stuff, especially with rappers now switching to rap, knowing what that rapper has overcome and their personal journey and their story,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
LL Cool J is one of my heroes. Is one of my personal favorites.
Hmm.
And at a time when his career was being criticized and knocked down, and they had all this other competition around, they were trying to just throw him away, like, oh well, you don't have it anymore, yada yada.
Hmm.
And then he had a conversation with his grandmother, and he was like, Grandma, I don't know what to do. These people are counting me out. People are dissing me left and right. What do I do here? And the grandmother just told him simply, oh, you'll be fine. Knock
Hmm.
them out.
Knock them out. Yeah.
And then, Lord, hey,
Boom.
nineteen
Lift
ninety, one
off.
of the greatest hip hop albums in history came out, and it
Hmm.
just gave that resurgence. And that's what I'm talking
Hmm.
about. So stuff
Yeah.
like that. knowing the stories
Hmm.
behind the music really helped me, and
Yeah.
particular songs get me going.
Yeah. Oh man, me too, man. And it's like you said, all genres, man, because there's something about music that makes you feel good. Even if, and it's like it's almost like you go into the matrix, man. Like when I put on like my buds, man, I could be having a bad day. Man, I throw on some Anita Baker, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Mm,
Everything, everything at that moment, I'm in the matrix, and I'm just like, oh man, like everything is different. Life for those moments feels amazing.
that
Like it
Rapture album.
feels
That
different,
Rapture album, Anita Baker.
bro. Bro, listen,
Yes,
oh my God,
I'm with
and it
you.
makes
I'm
you
with
feel
you.
something.
Yeah.
It's like LL is one of your heroes. Common is one of my heroes, and he's a poet. And when I listen to him, it's like I feel reinvigorated. I feel something different in my spirit. And I'm
Right.
like, man, like this guy never misses a beat. You know what I'm saying? Like he talks to me just in different ways. And
That's
I
right.
think we've seen that, and throughout the course of our lives, we have a soundtrack for all the things that we've gone through and all the things that have gotten us through. Now, whether that
That's
be,
right.
music, right? And has for me, from 1984, I've had soundtracks for each era that I've lived in that has gotten
I'm
me
with you.
through.
Yes, sir. We
You
80s
know,
babies, so of
and
course. No,
it
definitely.
is what it is. And those are things that to me are just irreplaceable, man, because without music, man, I don't even know where we'd be.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't even
Yeah,
know.
we need music. Oh yeah. I wouldn't
Um,
know either.
it's so
I can't
crazy.
picture life without music.
Oh man, me either, bro. Um, so as far as man, I see. Okay, we got a little bit of time, man. So,
Yeah.
um, anxiety, bro. Like, man, when I was in high school and even part of my adulthood, man, man, I had a lot of anxiety just because I grew up with a speech impediment, and so from like elementary school to high school to college, and even in my adult life, man, anxiety hit anxiety hit me a lot. Now, again, anxiety, like depression, has various different spectrums.
Right.
I'm not going to say I was on the spectrum of just, medication or stuff like that when it comes to anxiety, but I felt it and I knew that, man, like, if this is not even on the real spectrum of like anxiety, man, what does it really feel like to be on the spectrum of having to take medication and having social anxiety and things like that?
Right.
Because when I was going through it and I would get ready to speak in front of a class, the lights got brighter, like physically, the lights got brighter. The sweat started running down my neck. Um, like the words on the pages got blurry. Like
Mm-hmm.
my heart starts pounding, and I'm
Mm.
like, oh, okay, okay. So let me call the teacher. All right. So the teacher said I got to read, and so now I'm counting the students. All right. So there's about 7 people in front of me. So now I got to look at the textbook, and I'm like, all right. So so I'm on the 8th paragraph. All right. Let me let me try to memorize this whole paragraph and practice in my
Right.
mind
You
before they
came with a
even get to me,
strategy.
because now, yeah, but let me tell you, the strategy never worked. It never
Oh,
worked because by the time she got to me, it didn't matter. Everything, all the strategy was out the window. And
wow.
because for me, what I would try to do is speed up, how I speak and talk, to rush through it. And guess what? As I spoke faster, the speech got worse and
Oh,
worse.
man.
And because I didn't know at a young age that my feelings and my emotions affect the way I speak. I didn't learn that
Mm.
until I was 27, and I had to retrain the way I speak completely.
There you go.
I didn't speak like this now. When I was 16 and 17 and 21 and 22 and 23, I spoke completely different. I had to take a
Yeah.
couple years completely retrain how I speak to where now you might hear a stutter maybe 5 to 8% of the time now. As where before, you're definitely going to hear a stutter probably about 92% of the time. And so that's how it affected me, and my emotions affected my speech. And when you have anxiety, it affects your emotions. And then, so I didn't understand that, right?
No.
So how has anxiety kind of affected your life?
Anxiety, it affected my life very hard, especially as a kid. I went through the same problem. You see how I mentioned earlier about going through the same thing? The
Mm-hmm.
stuttering problem haunted my entire life through my elementary years, my high school years, my college years. And it
Mm-hmm.
was at a point where I was afraid to speak. I may know the answer. I'll do the
Mm-hmm.
research. I'll do the paperwork. I'll get everything right. I'll do it right. But when it came time for presentations or participating, I didn't want to do it because if I open my mouth, it'll be like a pause, like and then I'm worried about people laughing, and I'm being embarrassed, and then I'm hurt. I'm like, damn, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, and now with everything I do now, because I'm much more open, much more personal than I was way back then, because I was
Yeah,
afraid
yeah.
to even make an approach because of the stuttering problem and the stammering and all that. So what I
Mm-hmm.
did was the same thing you did. I retrained myself, and what I did was I studied the great speakers, and
Mm-hmm.
I realized like James Earl Jones, he had a bad stuttering problem. He said it in his biography.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never think
Mm-hmm.
that because, when you hear James Earl Jones, he's this powerful voice, like it commands, it's like rolling
Mm-hmm.
thunder. And then, you got a guy like Muhammad Ali, who's another personal favorite, who I studied tremendously on how he spoke. Because,
Mm-hmm.
when Ali talked, he spoke with confidence. So I
Mm-hmm.
took that part. I said, you got to be confident in what you know. You know this, you've done the research, you've done the homework. So I'm good at this. I know exactly what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about. And another one is Malcolm X. He spoke
Mm-hmm.
with power. He spoke with command. He
Mm-hmm.
demanded attention. So when you're up there, or when you're doing a presentation, or when you're talking to people, you want them to pay attention to what you're saying. You gain the command of where you are. And just by standing in the room, you stick your chest out, keep your head up, look around. Same thing
Mm-hmm.
with Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur said the same thing, and I studied his interviews. So as I got older, doing my homework, kept doing my research. Then it got to a point where I got a presentation. Cool. I can't wait to go up there
Mm-hmm.
because I know this stuff. I know what I'm doing. So let me go
Mm-hmm.
up there and share with y'all. And I'm having fun while I'm doing it because
Mm-hmm.
I have the confidence now and I have faith in what I'm doing. And
Right.
that really, really helped me out through life. It really did. Going through that and the
Man,
embarrassment of that,
tell
it
a quick,
worked.
man, that's amazing, bro. I'll tell you a quick story. So remember earlier in the show, I said, what you go through now, I said, it's for somebody later.
Hmm.
So it's funny. 2 weeks ago, I had to do a Zoom presentation for a group of 11th graders. And they
Right.
were asking me, what am I going to tell a story on? It had to do with, just storytelling and things like that. And something about adversity. So I had a couple of ideas. So at first I said, I'm going to do the speech part. Um, and then I was like, maybe I should change it up and talk about career or whatever. So I decided to just stay the course and talked about my speech impediment that I had as a teenager. You
Mm.
know, I got a unanimous question that said, was there ever a time that you just wanted to just give up completely? And I answered the question. I really didn't think about it. Answered the question, kept it moving. The teacher said, "Hey, can you stay after class? Stay after the Zoom. I want to talk to you." I said, "Okay, cool." Kids go off, and she was like, "There was a young lady in there who has a severe speech problem, and she was typing to me all of the questions that I was asking you because she didn't want to turn on her Zoom camera." And she was like,
Wow.
this is the most intrigued she's ever been in class." And she said she will fail a class even if she thinks that she has to speak. She will fail on purpose. She goes,
Wow.
this, she said, this is the first time she ever showed real interest in anything. And she said, because of her speech problem? And so we talked, and she was just like, I can't believe, I don't know why. She said that you took the turn and this is what you were going to speak about. She goes, but even if it was just for her, she said, I'm so glad you did. And we talked
That's
about possibly
incredible.
doing and possibly doing a one-on-one with her, on the side where nobody's around, and just having this type of conversation. And I
Excellent.
got off the Zoom, and I was just like, damn, man, like if I didn't push through and tell the story about how now, fast forward in my life, where now I'm speaking to people, I'm speaking to hundreds of people in colleges, I'm doing presentations on nonprofits, I'm speaking, and I'm actually a speaker. And to actually have somebody told me 2 years ago, Terrence, you are a great speaker. I never thought to the day I would ever hear those words in my life. I mean, in my
Imagine
life,
that.
if you could have told me one thing that I would not hear, I would have put all of my money, I would have put all my chips to the table and said, nobody's going to ever tell me that
Right.
I'm a good speaker. So
Man.
when I told us those stories, she just something changed in her, and she was like, okay, well, maybe I don't have to give up. And that's where I'm saying, wow, like, and she also asked me, she asked me if you could just if there was a time where you could just take all of it away, your speech impediment, would you? And I answered no, and I explained why. And then, so now, like, when I'm just putting the piece together after the Zoom, I'm sitting there and I'm like, yo, man, like, if I didn't go through that, I couldn't be
Exactly.
here for this young lady right now. And
Exactly.
that's what I mean. Why it's whatever it is that you go through, you overcome for somebody else so that you could push them through.
That's
Um,
right.
and it just kind of goes hand in hand, man, to everything that you were saying as well about the confidence, about all those things. It all goes hand in hand to confidence. And then now when you reach back to pull somebody through, to help somebody up, and even people that you don't even know.
That's right.
And that's the thing that blew my mind,
You don't
because I
know
was
who
like,
you
I didn't even
inspire.
know.
Amazing, right? Look how far you've come, man.
Yeah, and that's not, and believe me, that's definitely not a brag or a humble brag. Like, I'm
Of
just
course.
saying, like, whatever it is that you have, whatever adversities that you're going through in life, like, man, it could be for somebody else, for you to be able to bring them through, because you went through, and now you could pave the way for somebody else,
That's right.
man. But listen, I want you to tell people, because we got a couple minutes left. Tell people where they can reach you. Tell people about the podcast. The floor is yours.
Thank you, man. You could definitely check out the Rap Lab podcast on every streaming platform: Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, RSS, Pandora. Just type in Rap Lab Pod in Google. You will definitely find us. You could definitely look for me on the name Rap Lab Podcast. You got QG, which is myself. You got the Candyman Alfred. You got your boy T.O., and you got the Rev Barber MC. My Instagram is true underscore G underscore QG. You will definitely find us out there. You can find all of us. And the Rap Lab podcast every Sunday we drop on every streaming platform that I just mentioned. We got merchandise, teespring.com. Just type in Rap Lab Pod. You could definitely get your merchandise, your hoodies, your sweaters, your shirts, your coffee mugs, all that good stuff. We're actually going to be on the road in June. We're going to be out in Atlantic City. So come rock with us.
Big,
Come out there. Come see us
big.
at the festival. We got a lot going on out there. More
Yo,
details to
listen,
be on
man.
our profile, but we out there.
Dope, bro. Listen, man, you guys are doing some amazing things, man. You're doing amazing things, bro. Want to always give you your flowers while you're here, bro. I appreciate
Thank you,
you
brother.
always, bro.
Thank
You're
you,
an
my
amazing
brother.
brother, man. We
Thank you.
we
You
need
too,
more
man.
kings like you.
Thank you,
Um,
brother.
I mean, we honor and appreciate all the work you're doing out here, man. Definitely keep going, man. Keep grinding. I hope that we can do this again, because I think
Oh, we got
more of
to.
this type of conversation is absolutely needed, bro. So listen, thank you for doing the
Absolutely.
show, bro. I appreciate you, baby.
My guy, anytime. Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, fam. All right, so we'll
All
talk
right.
soon.
Yes, sir. We
All right.
will. Yeah.
All right. Yo, I appreciate you guys for joining us. Man, what a conversation. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in and really rocking with us. And joining into the conversation, man. Thank you guys. We'll be back next week with a new guest, man. And yeah, listen, this is Conversation of the Heart, man. Yo, peace.